Hello, Goodfellas. Welcome to the world of the Sopranos. Mikey Palmice was one of the most dangerous and violent characters, causing fear not only in his enemies, but even in his acolytes. But why did Tony hate him so much? And how did the Sopranos manage to get away with beating Palmice? Let's find out. You're watching Vano VHS. Mikey Palmice's journey up the Mafia career started out as a simple soldier on Junior's crew, quickly becomes Corrado's right-hand man after Jackie April's death, and is given the cherished role of consigliere in the episode Pax Soprana. Mikey is a complex character, with traits of kindness and humility towards those he feels deserve respect. But at the same time, he is intolerant and cruel to those who get in his way or try to harm Junior. He deeply detests Tony Soprano, and Tony doesn't make his life any easier by regularly badgering him. Despite his loyalty to Junior, Mikey's acute dislike for Tony has made him one of Tony's main foes on the show. With each new episode, Mikey's character becomes more complex and interesting, keeping viewers tensely guessing what he will do next. The moment Jackie April is diagnosed with cancer and it becomes clear that he's going to die, Junior quickly springs into action to secure his throne. Mikey is determined to wipe out all of Junior's adversaries, including Tony Soprano and Christopher Moltisanti. He makes his respect in old arrangements. Mikey's loyalty is put to the test when Brendan Falone and Christopher Moltisanti hijack trucks belonging to a firm under June's protection. Corrado asks Mikey to sort it out, and he does so with the utmost brutality, killing Brendan in the episode Denial, Anger, Acceptance. But Mikey's brutality doesn't end there. In a shocking turn of events, he recruits two Russians to stage Christopher's execution. Enraging, Tony Soprano intervenes, warning Christopher not to dare touch Mikey because Palmice is a made man and Christopher was just an associate at the time. Instead, Tony takes matters into his own hands by brutally beating Mikey with a stapler. I wonder how the boy reacted to this. When it comes to the Mafia world, every move can be your last. And when Tony beat up Mikey, many people wondered how the Sopranos managed to get away with it, considering Mikey was a made man. When Tony was the captain and beat up Mikey, the solution for Palmice was to go to Junior to settle the matter by having a sit-down. But it's worth considering that Soprano beat the crap out of Mikey when there were no witnesses around, not even the boy. So there was no evidence. Who knows what Palmice was imagining? Maybe he dreamed it up in the first place. Even if it did come down to a sit-down, how would Mikey be able to prove his point? Tony has a high IQ and a degree in street smarts to go along with it. He knows how to behave in situations like this. Just remember how he acted when Uncle Philly was throwing accusations at him and demanding Blundetto on a silver platter. Well, or the episode with Ralph's joke. Despite the fact that Tony knew the truth, he didn't give up and behaved professionally when Johnny sputtered and demanded Ralph's head. Tony always has an ace up his sleeve, but he's no cheap shot. Yes, Mikey could have gotten Tony in trouble, but how would such a call for help look in the eyes of the Goodfellas? Calling the boss for help is not a good idea. After all, they're all tough guys, and everyone should be able to solve their own problems. Besides, who would want to advertise their failure? Junior soon discovers that his tailor's grandson committed suicide after taking dope bought from one of Larry Barese's top dealers. Junior takes matters into his own hands and orders Mikey to kill the dealer to prevent him from selling drugs to children. As a result, Mikey, along with Joey Eggs, throws Rusty off the same bridge the kid jumped off of, sending a clear message to anyone who dares cross Junior's path. However, the move didn't sit well with the capo, especially Larry, who felt that Junior should have prearranged such drastic measures. Of course, Mikey Palmice is a smiling and friendly guy, but don't be fooled by his appearance. Behind the mask of charm lurks a cruel, sadistic sociopath who enjoys inflicting pain and suffering. Tony and the other capos have referred to him as the disease since childhood because of his sick nature. Mikey revels in the power he wields, often bullying and taunting his victims before delivering the final blow. In addition, Mikey has a deep hatred for Junior's nephew, Tony Soprano, and has longed to take him down for years. Through Mikey and Livia's manipulations, Junior decides to take an extreme step. He orders Tony's assassination. Then an associate named Donnie Paduana sees an opportunity for himself and helps organize an assassination attempt on Tony. But the Briquettes fail the assignment, and Mikey has to clean up the whole mess. Palmice is glad to try and solves the issue in 1-2 punch by shooting Donnie in his car. Recognizing that he can't let such a daring deed go, Tony decides to take action. Junior, the slippery old fox, was not to be underestimated. Everyone knew he was up to something, and the question was, who would he use this time? The Sopranos targeted Chucky and Mikey, determined to prevent June from making any further strikes. Tony caught Chucky off guard at the Jersey City Marina, where he was chillin' on his boat. Carrying a large fish, Tony suddenly pulled a barrel out of its mouth and fired several shots at Chucky, ending his life. Mikey's fate was also determined. Chris and Paulie catch up with him while he's jogging, and they say sports are good for your health. 1 minute, he was running through the woods, the next he was sitting on his butt in the creek. Mikey tried to get to his feet, but his soaked clothes made it hard to move. Worse, at that moment, Christopher appeared and pointed a gun at him. Mikey realized he was in trouble and started begging for mercy, but Chris was hardly Mother Teresa. It was clear that Mikey's time had come. But then Paulie appeared out of nowhere. There was panic on his face and he was desperately scratching his arms. "Fucking poison ivy all over me!" he exclaimed. Christopher fired the fatal shot, and Mikey's lifeless body collapsed into the water. A perfectly satisfying ending for a character who had caused so much pain and suffering. Mikey left behind a wife and a boy. In the world of The Sopranos, life and death are not what they seem. In the episode From Where to Eternity, Christopher regains consciousness after a coma. However, his return from the other side of the world is not like the standard light at the end of the tunnel. He tells Paulie and Tony about his trip to hell, where he saw Brendan Falone and Mikey in an Irish bar drinking alcohol in a friendly manner. But the message Christopher brought back from the furnace was even more frightening. 3 o'clock! A superstitious Paulie visits a psychic who gives him the names of the people he's killed, including Mikey Palmice. But the psychic hasn't said everything yet. He tells Paulie that Mikey wonders if Paulie still has an itch. This is a reference to when Paulie, while chasing Mikey through the woods, got caught in a bush of poison ivy. By the way, if you're curious about the 3 o'clock theory, post in the comments. I'll try to make a separate video about it. So why did Tony hate Mikey so much? The Sopranos isn't afraid to explore complicated relationships. Tony and Junior's relationship is a prime example of this. When Tony was a kid, Junior was a second father to him. He relied heavily on Junior's opinion, perhaps even more than he relied on his own father's words. But as they both grew older and made captains, their relationship began to crumble. Worse, Junior had taken on a man who had nothing but contempt for Tony. This guy was almost like a replacement for Tony. The same age, stylish, smart, and more respected by Junior. This was a huge blow to Tony's self-esteem, and he felt a deep resentment and jealousy. He couldn't understand why this fashionably dressed bastard had more trust and respect from his uncle. As a result, Tony was treating Mikey like a piece of crap, which only worsened their already sour relationship. Now, there is no clear indication that Mikey was a fool. In fact, he's presented as a cunning and ruthless man who managed to advance within the ranks of Junior's crew. He was known for his ability to manipulate situations to his advantage. In the end, Mikey fell not because of a lack of intelligence, but because of his inability to control his violent tendencies and his willingness to take unreasonable risks. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to Vano VHS and hit the like button.